weekly vlog number 44. Starting off with fish tank again. This time actually, I tried getting it recorded, but it doesn't actually get picked up all that well with my cameras. Either my webcam or my camcorder, both of them just kind of pick up the way the fish tank looks really poorly. But I cleaned it out one more time 5 days ago, so it was actually just 2 or 3 days before the cleaning before that, which was actually just mostly a 50% water change. So I did a thorough cleaning this time, and I haven't actually touched it since then, really. And actually the water is just perfect now. It's just amazing. It's been 5 days, and it looks like what it usually looks like after the first day. So the water is just, it's staying clear really, really easily, and it's just amazing because when I got it cleaned out for the first 2 or 3 days, actually, it looked perfectly clear. After that, it started going downhill like it's supposed to, but for the first 2 or 3 days, it was just perfect. So I finally got fish tank stuff just how I want it to be. There's nothing floating at the surface. It's just crap that's annoying. The AVerMedia filter is actually working properly, and it's just awesome now. And finally on to computer stuff, because yeah, that's all else that happened this week was fish tank. Everything else was computer stuff. So next week you guys are actually going to be seeing the hardware swap. I don't know what type of speed I'm going to be playing that back at. I'll be speeding it up significantly. If it takes 2 hours, I'll be speeding it up by 8 times, so the video is 15 minutes long. If it takes longer than that, then I'll be speeding it up even more. I don't think it'll take more than 2 hours to get all the hardware swapped and everything. I'm not going to actually be recording the water draining or the water replacement or even the removal and replacement of the radiators or the removal of the actual tubes, because I'm going to change the tube layout I have in the thing to actually make it look a little more neat and use a little less tubes. So the flow rate will probably be slightly faster than normal when I'm done actually putting everything together, because the flow rate is kind of dependent on the tube length and the speed of the pump. I'm not going to be changing the speed of the pump, but the tube itself is going to be a little shorter with the way I'm going to be changing the layout. The other computer stuff, obviously, yes, that means that since I'm going to have that video up next week, assuming everything works out properly, assuming everything does work out properly, I'll have that video out next week for the next weekly video, the next weekly vlog, whatever. It does mean that, yeah, my CPU did finally get here, which is freaking awesome, so I can finally swap stuff out as soon as I get this video uploaded. The other thing, since I actually had some money left over from ordering the CPU, instead of saving up for the chair just immediately right away, since it's going to actually take an equal amount of time to save up for the chair whether or not I bought what I'm about to mention, or if I didn't buy it, it still would have taken the same amount of time. I ended up getting a $50 Vesa mount just for monitors, because my desk, there were just a crap load of wires behind the monitors, and it was just a big mess, and the stands for the monitors themselves that actually came with the monitors, actually. Those stands kind of sucked so badly that they were just in the way, and it was just annoying, and the one for my old monitor is actually the one that was worse. My primary monitor, the one I use for my gaming computer, it wasn't as bad, but for the stand for my old monitor that I use on my laptop now, it was just preventing wires from actually being moved around a lot behind that damn thing, and it was kind of just messing with stuff, and it was a mess. I did not like that stand. So the Vesa mount I got is a dual monitor Vesa mount. I'll put a link to it in the description, but the actual thing itself is kind of neat. It was a pain in the ass to set up, but once I got it set up, it's nice. I'm glad I have it and not the original stands on the monitors now. I also cleaned up the wires, I moved stuff around, organized it, and I dusted everything down, so now my desk actually kind of looks more pretty, which is amazing. Of course, you're not going to end up seeing that in next week's video, because I'm going to be looking down at the area where my mouse, keyboard, and everything usually goes. And actually, because of this Vesa mount, I can now, whenever my keyboards are kind of in the way and I need to move them out of the way, I don't have to stack them on top of each other. I can just slide them under the monitors and push them out of the way and use the entire desk area that those two keyboards and the two mice, whatever, end up taking up usually. And finally, the last thing, for anyone that is curious what hardware I am going to be using in my new setup, because I guess it's technically a new computer because I'm replacing motherboard, CPU, and RAM. What I'm going to be using in it is I'm going from, so what I currently have is an Asus P9X79. Of course, last time I ever get a 3 out of 5 rated motherboard. I'm sure it works fine for some people. I think the motherboard I have is just faulty and it's not regulating power properly. It actually makes a little sense for the behavior if it's not regulating power properly to every device on it. But I'm going from that motherboard with 8 sticks equaling 32 gig DDR3 RAM and a 4930K CPU up to an ASRock Fatality X99X killer motherboard with 4 sticks totaling 32 gig RAM, DDR4 this time, and a 5930K CPU. Luckily, the actual CPU socket type has heatsink mounting holes that are the same on both LGA 2011, which is the one I'm using right now as I'm recording this video, the 4930K sockets LGA 2011. And the 2011 V3, which is what the 5930K uses, they have the same heatsink mounting holes. So because of that, I don't have to get a whole new friggin' water block for the CPU, which is kind of nice. And even if the holes are a little closer to the CPU, which they're not, obviously, as I mentioned, but even if they were a little bit closer to the CPU, then I could still use that same water block because the water block I'm using has a bit of leeway with how it's used. It's got some elongated holes. It's not just these straight through drill holes. So either way, it's going to be kind of nice. I don't have to really get anything else new. All I had to do was get the CPU, and that's really the biggest thing I was waiting for because I've had the motherboard for a few months now. I've had the RAM for a couple months or so, and I've just been waiting to get this expensive damn processor, but finally, I'll be able to swap stuff out, run a bunch of tests, and have some news on it next week. Hopefully, what I'm really hoping is that the swap of the motherboard, CPU, and RAM, even though I'm sure the CPU and the RAM are fine, I'm pretty damn sure the motherboard is at fault for all the problems that I've had. What I'm hoping is that I'll be able to play Borderlands 2 for 5 hours, and if I can, then I'll do 2 tests, 5 hours, single sitting. It's going to take a long goddamn time. It's going to be kind of stressful, kind of annoying, but if I can do Borderlands 2 for 5 hours, 2 times in a row, so I'll do one day, then the next day. I'll have to test some other games as well, but those 2 games are going to be the biggest test. Everything else I'll just do 2 hours on. But if I can test Borderlands 2 for 5 hours, then I'll report saying, yeah, it turned out great. I can actually start recording stuff again, and I'll try and estimate a day when I'll actually have Skyrim videos rolling out. Because I want to try and get Skyrim finished so I can actually start on Borderlands 2. And actually, that is pretty much the end of this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, even though I kind of stuttered a lot there, probably is still noticeable even though I'm editing the damn thing. But even with the stuttering, whatever. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know with a comment, like, subscribe, and or a share. And I'll see you guys on the next video next week. Hopefully, I'm hoping nothing goes wrong. I guess if anything does go wrong, I can always get a crappy little camcorder video recorded and upload it from my laptop. But either way, I'll see you guys next week. And until then, I'll see you guys later. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys then. Bye.